Every day at noon, Mrs. Green poured fresh water into a dish and slid out a plate of chicken for her gentle visitor who had been visiting all week. She believed she was feeding a stray cat, perhaps a lost Maine Coon. He was larger than any house cat she had ever seen, with a beautifully dappled coat, intelligent golden eyes, and striking ears tipped with wispy black tufts. Unlike other strays, he wasn't skittish. He approached her porch with calm confidence, as if he belonged there. To Mrs. Green, he was simply a handsome, gentle friend in need of a meal. But this peaceful porch scene held a dangerous secret. Unbeknownst to Mrs. Green, her gentle giant was the same creature causing panic across town, a wild predator that neighbors feared. Then her grandson Lucas, a wildlife officer, stopped by for a visit. When she described her new friend with such innocent joy, Lucas was stunned. The stray cat his grandmother had been hand-feeding wasn't what she thought at all. Before we start, hit the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The old screen door groaned a familiar welcome as Eleanor Green, known to everyone in Maple Creek as Mrs. Green, shuffled onto her wide, shaded porch. It was noon, the time of day when the Alabama sun was at its most insistent, bleaching the color from the sky and sending sensible creatures in search of shade. For the past week, noon had become a sacred ritual, a quiet appointment she kept with a secret guest. With the careful, deliberate movements of her 84 years, she bent to fill a heavy ceramic dish with cool, fresh water from a watering can. Her knees protested with a chorus of creaks, but she ignored them. Next, she retrieved a small plate from the little wicker table by her rocking chair. On it was a modest collection of leftovers from the previous night's dinner: a few tender pieces of roasted chicken, a spoonful of gravy-soaked potatoes. She slid the plate next to the water bowl, just near the edge of the porch steps where the sprawling azalea bushes offered a discreet entrance. Then she settled into her rocker, folded her hands in her lap, and waited. She didn't have to wait long. A rustle in the hedges, a flicker of movement, and then he padded into the dappled sunlight. He was magnificent, larger than any house cat she had ever seen, big as a small, sturdy dog, with a coat of soft, dappled brown that made him seem a part of the earth itself. His ears were the most striking feature, tall and alert with wispy tufts of black fur at the tips that flicked and twitched, catching every nuance of the summer air. His tail, a comical stump no longer than her hand, gave a little twitch of acknowledgement. He approached the porch not with the skittish deference of a feral stray, but with a calm, deliberate confidence that captivated her. His wide golden eyes, intelligent and unblinking, met hers for a brief moment. There was no fear in them, only a quiet assessment. Mrs. Green offered a soft, slow-blinking smile, a gesture she'd read somewhere was a sign of trust in the feline world. The animal lowered its head and began to eat, lapping neatly at the water first before turning its attention to the chicken. "There you are, handsome," she murmured, her voice a soft, reedy whisper. "You must have been so hungry." She had decided he was a Maine Coon, or perhaps a mix. She'd seen pictures of them in magazines, enormous, gentle giants of the cat world. This one was clearly lost, his magnificent coat a little matted, a touch of wildness in his gaze that spoke of hardship. But his manners were impeccable. He never bolted his food, never made a mess. When he was finished, he would meticulously clean his face with a broad paw, give her another one of those long, steady looks, and then melt back into the green shadows of the garden as silently as he had appeared. Her husband, Robert, had been gone for 6 years now. The silence in the house had been the hardest part. It had a physical weight, pressing in on her from the empty rooms, the unused armchair, the cold side of the bed. Her days were a quiet procession of gardening, reading, and listening to the radio. Her grandson, Lucas, was a comfort, but he was a busy young man with an important job. These noontime visits had become the brightest point of her day, a secret shared between her and this beautiful, silent creature. It was a flicker of life, a spark of connection in the profound stillness of her world. The next morning, the digital world of Maple Creek, Alabama was on fire. The Maple Creek Community Watch page on social media, a place usually reserved for announcing bake sales and complaining about potholes, had a new, electrifying post. It was a blurry photo, taken through a kitchen window at dusk, of an animal standing near a backyard bird feeder. It was bigger than a dog, but smaller than a cougar, a muscular silhouette of tawny fur against the deepening shadows. The caption, typed in all caps, read, "Caught this on my property off Oak Ridge Road. Is this a mountain lion or a black panther?" The comment section exploded. "That's a panther for sure. My cousin's friend saw one near the reservoir last year," wrote one user. "No way. It's a mountain lion. Look at the powerful shoulders. We need to be careful with our pets and kids," another insisted. Fear, laced with a strange sort of backwoods excitement, spread like wildfire. Reckless suggestions to form a posse and bring guns were peppered among the panicked warnings. The digital hysteria was a stark contrast to the quiet, dignified creature Mrs. Green knew. She would have scrolled right past it, had her neighbor not called, her voice trembling with alarm, to make sure Mrs. Green had seen the news about the panther roaming their quiet corner of the state. At the regional office of the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Wildlife Officer Lucas Bennett stared at the same blurry photo on his computer monitor and sighed. At 26, he was one of the younger officers, but he'd grown up tracking deer and turkey with his grandfather in these very woods. He knew the fauna of this state like the back of his hand. "Mountain lion, black panther," he muttered to his senior partner, a grizzled veteran named Dave. "Folks see a shadow and their imagination runs wild. There hasn't been a confirmed wild mountain lion in Alabama in over 70 years, and the black panther is a myth, a melanistic jaguar or leopard from a completely different continent." Dave grunted, not looking up from his paperwork. "You know the drill, kid. Panic call comes in, we check it out. Go calm the good people of Maple Creek down." Within 30 minutes, Lucas's green ADCNR truck was parked on Oak Ridge Road. The family who had posted the photo was out, so the yard was quiet. He walked the perimeter, his eyes scanning the soft earth beneath the bird feeder. And there they were, crisp, clear tracks in a patch of damp soil. He knelt, his training kicking in. The print was about 2 inches wide and 2 inches long, 4 distinct toe pads with a leading toe, creating a slightly asymmetrical shape. He traced the outer edge with his finger. No claw marks. Felines walk with their claws retracted. He measured the stride, the way the rear paw landed almost perfectly in the spot the front paw had just left. A direct registering gait, efficient and silent. He stood up and exhaled, a small smile touching his lips. "Just as I thought," he said to the empty yard. Lynx rufus. Not a mountain lion, not a mythical black panther, a bobcat. A healthy, good-sized one, but a bobcat nonetheless. It was a relief. They were common, shy, and posed virtually no threat to humans. He made a note to call the homeowner and the local sheriff's office to officially quell the panic. His work done, he decided to take the scenic route back, a winding country road that led past the edge of town. It was the road his grandmother lived on. A visit was long overdue. Mrs. Green's small white house was a haven of peace, surrounded by immaculate beds of prize-winning roses and towering oak trees. He found her on the porch, rocking gently, a half-finished glass of iced tea sweating on the wicker table. "Lucas!" What a wonderful surprise! She beamed, her face lighting up. Her eyes, the same warm brown as his own, crinkled at the corners. "Hey, Grandma," he said, leaning down to kiss her papery cheek. "Just finished a call nearby and thought I'd stop in." "How have you been?" "Oh, I'm fine, dear." "The roses are loving this heat, even if I'm not," she chuckled. "Let me get you some tea." They sat together for a while, the comfortable silence punctuated by the buzz of cicadas and the clinking of ice in their glasses. He told her about the panther scare, and she listened with polite interest. It was then that her expression shifted, a little secret bubbling up behind her eyes. "You know, it's funny you mention wild cats," she began, her voice dropping conspiratorially. "I've made a new friend. The sweetest stray cat has been visiting me every day." Lucas smiled. His grandmother adored animals. Her heart was an open door to any creature in need. "Oh yeah? What's it look like?" "Oh, he's huge, Lucas. Just enormous. The biggest cat I've ever laid eyes on," she gushed, "but so gentle. He just comes for a little snack and some water around noon, and then he's on his way. Never makes a peep." A picture of a big, fluffy orange tomcat formed in Lucas's mind. "Probably a neighborhood cat making the rounds," he suggested. "Or maybe someone's lost Maine Coon." They get really big. He was already mentally composing a found cat post to help her find its owner. He felt a familiar, gentle tightening of worry in his chest. She was so trusting, so open. He just wanted to make sure she was safe. "I thought so too," she said, her eyes bright with the memory. "He has this beautiful spotted coat and the cutest little ears with black tufts on them." Lucas's smile froze on his face. "Tufted ears?" "And the funniest thing," his grandmother added, taking a sip of her tea, completely oblivious to the sudden chill that had gripped her grandson. "He has a stubby tail. Just a little bob of a thing. It's absolutely adorable." The words landed in the peaceful afternoon air like stones thrown through glass. Stubby tail, bobbed tail, bobcat. His mind flashed to the tracks he'd just examined. The size, the location, less than a mile from here. The community panic. Every instinct, every piece of his training began screaming a single frantic alarm. He tried to keep his voice calm, but it felt thin and strained. "Grandma? A stubby tail, you said? How big is he really? Show me with your hands." She held her hands about 2 feet apart. "Oh, at least this long. And he stands about this high," she added, holding a hand level with the seat of the wicker chair. Lucas's heart hammered against his ribs. That wasn't a Maine Coon. That was the exact size of the animal whose tracks he'd just identified. He felt the blood drain from his face. His gentle, frail grandmother, who lived all alone, had been hand-feeding a wild predator. He had to see it. He had to be sure. He stood up abruptly, trying to mask his urgency. "Grandma, I'm so sorry. I just remembered I have to file a report right away. I completely forgot. I have to get back to the office." Her face fell with disappointment. "Oh, Well, all right, dear. Don't you work too hard. I won't. I'll call you later, he promised, his mind already racing. He didn't drive back to the main office. He drove to the small satellite station just 2 towns over, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles were white. A few years ago, after a fall had landed her in the hospital for a night, he had insisted on installing a simple security camera system at her house. It was aimed at the front door and the back porch, just so he could check in and make sure she was okay. She called it his spy camera, but had indulged him. He had never been more grateful for his own paranoia. He burst into the empty office, logged into his computer, and pulled up the live feed viewer. He clicked on the icon labeled Grandma's Porch and then scrolled back through the recorded timeline. He went to yesterday, to noon. The image that loaded on the screen made his heart lurch into his throat. There was his grandmother, small and fragile in her rocking chair, smiling her gentle smile. And there on the porch steps, not 5 feet away from her, was the bobcat. It was a mature male, lean and powerful, probably weighing around 25 pounds, though it looked bigger on camera. Its dappled coat was perfect camouflage. Its tufted ears swiveled, alert. Its golden eyes scanned the yard. Lucas watched in horror as the animal lapped water from the dish, then turned to the plate. The video showed his grandmother leaning forward, her hand outstretched, as if to top off the water dish while the bobcat was still there. He felt sick. He saw not a wild animal, but a loaded gun pointed at the person he loved most in the world. Bobcats were shy, yes. Attacks on humans were incredibly rare, almost unheard of. But this animal was being habituated. It was learning that humans, porches, and houses meant food. It was losing its natural fear. A habituated predator was an unpredictable predator. What if a child wandered into the yard? What if it felt cornered? What if my grandmother stumbled and fell near it? The horrifying possibilities cascaded through his mind. He grabbed his phone, his fingers trembling as he dialed her number. She answered on the second ring. "Lucas? Did you forget something?" "Grandma," he said, his voice tight with an emotion he couldn't hide. "Grandma, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I need you to go inside, lock the doors, and please stay inside. Do not go out on the porch." There was a confused silence on the other end. "Lucas, what on earth is wrong? You sound frightened." He took a deep breath. "Your cat, Grandma. Your stray cat. I saw it on your security camera. It's not a stray. It's not a Maine Coon. Your stray is a bobcat." The silence that followed was heavy and profound. He could hear her soft, shallow breathing over the line. When she finally spoke, her voice was a faint, stunned whisper. "A bobcat? But he's so gentle, he wouldn't hurt a fly." "Grandma, he's a wild animal. He's not gentle, he's just not scared of you anymore, and that's what makes it so dangerous," he explained, his voice softening with the ache he felt for her. He was shattering her beautiful secret friendship. "I have to call this in. I'm so sorry. They'll have to come and relocate it." He could feel her heart break through the phone. "Relocate him? Where will they take him? Will they hurt him?" No, they won't hurt him," Lucas reassured her, though his own heart was heavy. "The wildlife control team is expert at this. They'll trap him humanely and take him deep into the Talladega National Forest, far away from roads and houses. He'll have a much better, safer life there. It's the best thing for him, Grandma, and for you." Less than 20 minutes later, a different ADCNR truck, one equipped for live animal transport, rolled quietly down Mrs. Green's gravel driveway. Two seasoned wildlife control officers, a man and a woman who moved with quiet competence, met Lucas by his truck. He explained the situation, the daily feeding, the complete lack of fear. They nodded grimly. It was a classic case of well-intentioned habituation. They decided against a tranquilizer gun, which could be stressful for the animal. Instead, they used a large, humane box trap, baited with the scent of rabbit and a piece of fresh fish. They placed it discreetly behind the azalea bushes, right along the path the bobcat used. Mrs. Green watched from her living room window, her hand pressed against the glass. She looked small and lost in the big, empty house. They didn't have to wait until noon the next day. As dusk began to settle, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, the bobcat appeared. He padded confidently out of the woods, heading for his customary evening drink of water. A new habit she'd added. He paused, sniffing the air, his tufted ears twitching. The scent from the trap was irresistible. He circled it once, cautiously. Then his survival instinct, honed for finding an easy meal, overrode his caution. He stepped inside. The door clicked shut. There was a single startled thrash from within the cage, and then silence. The officers moved in swiftly and covered the trap with a heavy blanket to calm the animal. Mrs. Green opened her front door and walked slowly down the driveway, clutching her cardigan around her shoulders. She stopped a respectful distance away, her eyes fixed on the covered cage as the officers loaded it onto the truck. She couldn't see him, but she knew he was in there, her handsome, wild friend. Her heart ached with a strange mix of sorrow and relief. She had been foolish. She knew that now. Lucas was right, but the connection had felt so real, so pure. As the truck's engine rumbled to life, she lifted a hand in a soft, trembling farewell. "Goodbye, little friend," she whispered to the evening air, tears welling in her old eyes. "Be safe out there." Lucas stayed with her until long after the truck's taillights had disappeared down the road. He made her a fresh cup of tea, and they sat on the porch in the empty twilight. He explained everything, about how a bobcat losing its fear could lead to it being euthanized if it became a nuisance elsewhere, and how this relocation was truly a gift, a second chance for it to live a truly wild life. She understood. She nodded, wiping her eyes with a handkerchief. In the weeks that followed, Lucas made a habit of checking her security cameras every single day. He watched her go about her routine, watering her roses, collecting the mail, sitting in her rocker. And each time he glanced at the feed from the porch camera, he saw the same tender, stubborn ritual. Every day at noon, his grandmother would shuffle outside. She would pour fresh, cool water into the heavy ceramic dish and leave it by the steps. The plate of scraps was gone, but the water was always there. A silent offering of compassion, a quiet promise to a world she knew was full of thirsty travelers, just in case another one, lost and in need, happened to appear at her porch. And watching her, Lucas felt a wave of love and pride so powerful it almost took his breath away. The bobcat was gone, but his grandmother's heart remained as open and as wild as the Alabama woods themselves.